Hi, it's Alaska Granny. Do you realize we're living in a world of food shortages? There are all kinds of reasons why food is not available and bountiful as it used to be. I've gone to the grocery store enough times to see empty shelves and rising prices to realize that it's true. I have people leave comments that they're not seeing anything like that, and I don't know how to explain that because I can certainly see it where I live and where I've traveled, that food is in shorter supply, prices are rising, and it's becoming harder and harder for many families to provide the things that they need. What are some of the reasons why food is in short supply? We know there have been shipping problems. Just look what's going on in China. China ships so many things to the United States and other countries in the world, and a lot of it has come to a standstill. It's in huge delays, and there are all kinds of problems. We know there are all kinds of factory fires, which yes, those probably do occur on an annual basis, but so many in such a short amount of time, it's hard to understand how that could just be occurring naturally when you look statistically at what would be the average type of event that should be occurring. Processing plants were shut down during the pandemic, and you would think, well, maybe if they just shut down one or two, there are many, many more. That won't make a huge effect on our food supply. Yet if you think about it, food that comes from name brand sources, the same processing plants change the labels and continue to process the same food into, say, generic labels. So you aren't getting them from different places. It's many times the same factory, the same fields that produce that food. It's coming from the same source, and so while you would think it wouldn't affect the price and availability of foods, it certainly does. We know that there have been crop failures, rising prices of fuel, fertilizer, inability to even secure the things that farmers need. There's war going on in Russia, Ukraine. We know that they won't be having a harvest this year because they're not able to plant their fields, or what they do have will be sadly reduced. We know that many countries have had droughts, crop failures, crop losses. There are all kinds of limits where countries are no longer exporting their food. Now you may say, it doesn't matter to me, I don't get food from that country, but the problem is because it's a global world, if you can't get your food from Russia, then you get it from somewhere else who may have been sending it to your country, and then it's no longer available to you to buy, or the price goes up so much that you can't afford to get it. There are worldwide food shortages, and if you watch the news, you'll see that there is civil unrest going on in many places in the world, and people are hungry. They want what they need to feed their families, and so there have been uprisings against government. That's unsettling for other countries too. We know those are the problems. Are there any solutions? And the answer is yes. Buy what you can when you see it and get as much as you can. For the foreseeable future, these problems aren't going to change and they may become worse. So if you stock up on more food now, you'll have it to eat later in the future when it may be in more short supply, or the prices become so exorbitant you cannot afford to get it. Inflation means rising prices, and some of the prices are rising faster than inflation, food especially. That makes food a great investment because the prices you're paying today for food you eat tomorrow means that you have it at a bargain. And yes, you probably will have to pay more to replace it in the future, but you will still have invested your dollars in something that gained in value. So instead of buying one can of chili at $1 today and one can tomorrow at $2, if you buy the 2 cans today, then instead of spending $3 for 2 cans, you've only spent $2 for the same amount of food. So if you put that into bulk amounts of food and you buy a dozen cans of chili, then you have saved that much more money. The same percentage, but on a much grander scale. So you're dollar cost averaging your food into the future, and that's how it becomes more valuable, and you save money in the long run. It also gives you food security that you have your own grocery store. You can go into your prepper pantry, you can choose food off your shelf, and you have the ability to feed your family, whether there's a big, huge global conflict or not. If you get sick or you lose your job or you can't get your car to run, you don't have to worry about getting to the store and not having enough money because you have the supplies on hand to keep your family running smoothly. And that's the whole point of prepping, is that you're preparing to have lifestyle insurance so your family can continue to live their same quality of life. So while I recommend getting as much food as you can and stacking it to the rafters, as some people like to say, you also need to make sure that you're not just hoarding food. Don't just be storing food. It's food that you're willing to eat, that you're willing to use, rotate, and resupply. And it becomes a working pantry, which is the whole point of having extra food on hand. Yes, you may want buckets of beans and rice that can last for 30 years. That's cheap. And you can have a lot of that for not very much money. And maybe you don't want to rotate that so much, but any of the canned and packaged foods that you're stockpiling, make sure that you're rotating those. They don't last forever. People will tell you canned food lasts forever, but not all of it does. The cans can degrade, it can disintegrate, the packaged foods can become stale, things lose their flavor and their nutritional value over a long amount of time. What are some things you can do to brighten your future and the outlook for yourself and your family? Learn to grow food, learn to pickle, preserve, to dehydrate and can. Learn to put food away. The extras that you have today, the more you can preserve them for tomorrow, the better you're going to be. Plus, you're going to be learning new skills and having a bigger variety of food in your stockpile. Pay attention to what's going on. Gather information in your locale, also in the world around you. The more that we're aware of what are the challenges that others face, the better we can prepare ourselves if those challenges come to us. We always want to make the best of what we have, learn to use the things you have in new and improved ways, because the more ways you know how to use the things you have, the more things you actually have. So keep questioning, be curious, learn new skills, challenge yourself to do new things, because that's going to help you have a brighter future for the days that we have ahead. If you enjoyed my video, I hope you'll share it with someone else you think might like it. Please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel. If you've been playing in the woods, you look dirty. You're all covered with leaves, Daddy.